They built a real monster, and then they buried it in a bad movie. This is the Yeti. Welcome to Scary World, where I walk you through the best, the worst, and the downright disturbing. I'm Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
Let's get into it. Two men disappear in the Alaskan Territory in the winter of 1947. And when a rescue team goes after them, what's out there was watching them way before they even showed up.
The boat had no choice but to leave us.
Nobody knows where we
We're
are.
fixing to die out here. We stay any longer.
That's enough.
You hear that?
The first category is production.
Told you I'd make a movie someday. Huh?
The Yeti was directed by first-time feature directors Gene Gallerano and William Pisciotta. They're directing from a short they had made back in 2020 with the same title. The two of them also wrote the script, which is gonna explain a lot when we get to the next category. But first, let's give credit where it's due. For a couple of first-time feature directors, this movie is well executed. This whole thing was shot indoors on handcrafted sets built up in Buffalo, New York. They could have taken the easier and the much lazier route, but decided against having ridiculous-looking CGI snowscapes everywhere. It's a 1940s studio approach to making a movie set in the 1940s, and that's commendable. That said, the film is shot well, and it's shot purposefully dark, which is a hit or miss depending on the scene. Part of that is the location work. You're in the dead of an Alaskan winter night, so it's supposed to be pitch black. But part of it is also a budget move, and it's a smart one too. The low light hides what you can't afford and builds tension out of what you can't see, killing two birds with one stone, if you will. The sound design does a lot of heavy lifting here. The movie earns most of its dread through your ears long before it earns anything through your eyes. The choices are smart, the craft is solid, but nothing here reaches past competent. It's a good-looking movie made by two people who clearly know what they're doing behind the camera. It's just not doing anything special on a technical level that's gonna stick with you. And for that, the Yeti gets a 1 out of 2 for production. The movie does look decent. It does look pretty polished, but you can definitely tell you are on a set. The snow doesn't even look realistic when it's shot. It does come off on the low budget side of things. But all that said, these are two first-time directors doing the best they can, and they produced a competent-looking movie. The next category is story.
Second act needs work.
The first-time directors also wrote the script, and it's their first feature script as well, and man does it show. There are beats missing all over this thing. Beats that would have helped develop the characters, as well as beats that would have helped you understand the story you're watching. Let's start with the opening. The movie starts abruptly and you have no clue what's going on for the first 5 minutes. None at all. No clue who the people are on the screen, and even less of an idea what they're doing there. You only really start to get your bearings once the actual plot kicks in and the movie outright tells you who to pay attention to. The pacing moves quick. A little too quick, honestly. There's no time to develop anybody, so they just end up as fodder. Bodies in a line waiting for their demise. It's a shame because there is a genuinely interesting group of characters buried in here. On paper, this is a fun crew to throw at a monster, but not all of them hit the mark. And here's the part that really grinds my gears. The worst of the characters gets the most dialogue, and it's quite frustrating. That's a choice that somebody made, and it's a fixable problem that could have been rectified, but wasn't. By the time the third act shows up, everything has fizzled out. Things get overly complex right at the moment they should be tightening up. And the payoff is not worth what they made you sit through to get here. 93 minutes and it still feels like it's spinning its wheels. That's a story problem from top to bottom. And for that, the Yeti gets a 0 out of 2 for story. This story didn't start promising. It tried to do its best in the second act to try and build up with the characters and the action and the horror that was on screen. But like I said, by the time you get to that third act, you're a little bit tuned out, and the third act really doesn't offer up anything engaging to keep you in the movie. The next category is ensemble.
She's an actress. She's acting.
The cast is fine. There's a diverse group of characters here, and the actors are trying their best to make them come to life. And most of them do a decent job at it. Brittany Allen, for instance, who plays Ellie Bannister, the lead and the anchor of the movie, does a good job with the character. She brings a nice, subtle somberness to the performance, and that's exactly what this thing needs. She balances out the rest of the cast. Without her performance, the movie would start coming apart earlier than it does. And then there's Eric Nelson, who plays Mariel Sunday Jr., the rich guy funding the rescue mission, And this is where it goes sideways for me. He's way over the top, abrasive in a way that sits completely contrast to what everybody else is doing. The rest of the cast is playing a cold, tense survival movie, and he's playing something else entirely. And I'm not sure who to really lay that on. Is it an issue with the direction he was given? First-time directors not reining in a performance? Or is it an actor trying to do too much, trying to stand out? Either way, it's the loudest thing in the movie, and remember, that's the character with the most dialogue. So you are stuck with him all the way till the end. And for that, the Yeti gets a 1 out of 2 for Ensemble. If it were not for Brittany Allen, this movie would have fallen apart a long time ago, way early on in the first act to be exact. But like I said, this was a good group of characters story-wise, and the actors can only do so much with the material given, but I feel the direction has a lot to do with the way things went down here. The next category is horror.
Is it scary?
There is a good amount of blood and gore in this thing, and it's actually where the movie delivers. The effects are all practical and they look really good on the screen. You can tell this is where they spent most of the time and most of the budget. We're treated to some gnarly looking kills and a pretty decent body count, which is very appreciated in a movie of this caliber. Like I mentioned earlier, the sound design really helps build out the horror through the entire runtime without revealing the monster too early. It's an old school approach that really works well in this movie. That said, when it comes to the monster, they don't cheat you either. The monster silhouette is pretty awesome. You get a shape, you get a scale, you get an outline of something enormous moving where it should not be. And when the reveal finally lands, this thing looks very cool. I was glad the movie actually showed us something. Too many creature features keep the monster in the dark for 90 minutes because they know it won't hold up. Not this one. And the best part, it's all practical. No CG monster here. This is a real suit, a real build, and they showcase it. If the rest of this movie was as good as its monster and the effects department, we'd be having a very different conversation here. And for this, the Yeti gets a 2 out of 2 for horror. I really liked the way they showcased the monster. I liked the way they showcased the kills, the gore. They get right in there with the camera. They knew they had something very special with the effects department and they were not afraid to show us. The last category is legacy.
All right, now make up your mind.
This was not a good movie. It does well in the horror department, but everything else around it falls extremely flat. The story lacks across the board. It has bad pacing, bad character development, bad buildup to the third act. Just bad overall. And when the only thing you're walking out with is a monster, that's not a legacy, that's a highlight reel. This one should have probably stayed a short film. There's a 20-minute version of this that hits hard, shows you the creature, and gets out clean. And I think that version is a whole lot better than what we got. And for that, the Yeti gets a 0 for legacy. Like I said, this was not a good movie at all. It has a lot of flaws to the story, and that really is the detriment to this whole production. It's a shame because the execution of the movie was done pretty decently, and the characters were there. The acting even tried to show up, but it was too much to overcome that really bad story.
Ask, can you tell me what time it is?
Now it's time to add it all up. For production, the Yeti got a 1. For story, it got a 0. For ensemble, it got a 1. For horror, it got a 2. And for legacy, the Yeti got a 0, bringing the total up to a 4 out of 10. The Yeti is a creature feature with a cool monster. The practical work is legit, the sound design is doing real work, and Brittany Allen is out here anchoring a movie that doesn't deserve her. Everything else around all this, though, the script, the pacing, the structure, the payoff, it all falls apart. If you're a creature feature enthusiast and you just want to watch a real suit get its moment on screen, there's about 20 to 30 minutes in here for you. The rest is a slog. Stay away from it. The Yeti is now streaming on Shudder and AMC Plus for those who dared to watch. I'm Arturo Padilla, and remember, it's a scary world out there, but I am here to walk you through it. See you next time.
Hello, I just wanted to say goodbye.